Susanto.
Yep. Magnus is facing a Grandmaster from Spain, rated around 400.
Look at that tricky line White is playing. That's the Caro-Kann, knight f3, e5, d5, e5, and bishop f5 was met with knight to h4.
Wow, I've been playing the Caro-Kann for years, but I've never seen this, I must admit.
I have to say, like, I do remember an amateur player in St. Louis telling me about the line with knight f3, e5, but I think he had absolutely different ideas, like e6, early pawn sacrifice or something. Yeah. So this knight h4 and g3 is totally new to me as well.
Tunisian Grandmaster, very strong, very experienced. I think he's probably very good at Blitz. We saw him earlier defend a difficult position against birthday boy Hans Niemann.
Whoa, c4 is
such a weird move. I would dream of it.
Not like something you'd expect to happen, right?
It's anti-positional. It's kind of dropping a pawn. e5 is hanging also after c4 is captured. But
yeah, well, like if black's going d4, I wouldn't go like it's too anti-position. But yeah, first you have to answer what happens if the pawn's taken, right? Because e5 is still hanging. If you defend e5, black might defend c4.
Okay, and he just drops his knight back to f3. So what's the whole point of this sacrifice? I guess he wants to go knight a3 next move, but maybe he won't get time now.
That's a big question. And almost like b5, I've tempted to say.
Okay.
b5, a4, b4.
Yeah. Makes
And then
sense.
I'm ready to go knight a5.
Ding. Maybe he knows that Ding doesn't want sharper positions. He wants something a bit quieter.
It's a bit of a psychological play as well, right? Knight g to e7, just simple and strong, he argues. Knight a3 and knight goes to f5. Not defending the pawn, but finishing the development. Bishop g7 was the e7 was the last move.
Yeah,
right.
And I do notice Ding nowadays doesn't try to cling on to pawns. He just happily gives them back to get kind of stable.
First, develop everything, castle your king, and then start playing. Yeah. Is g4 ever a move? No. Black just jumps to d4 happily.
And Ding keeps eyeballing his opponent. He's wondering what's coming next. I guess d3 or b3 are likely at some point just to get the white bishop out, complete development. But Megarantis suddenly started slowing down.
Yeah. d4. Wow. d4, believe it or not, I was reluctant to mention, but it was a computer suggestion to go d4, and apparently the point is if you take with the pawn, then g4 is very annoying. You cannot get knight h4 because takes, and knight d6.
Wow, so he's blocked an outpost for the opponent.
Right, black's supposed to take with the knight, one of the knights that is. Or maybe, knight takes, knight takes, knight takes. And then, you've sacrificed the pawn, you can get it back on b7 if you wanted to, or maybe play for knight d6 somehow. Yeah.
I'm materialistic, I would take that pawn. Whoa, Ding castles. Nice.
Well, not the most unexpected exchange sacrifice ever, which white is advised not to accept.
I just, in my mind, like, Ding would take minimal risk there. He would just play rook b8, because why not? But, he didn't need to rush. The bishop more valuable than the rook.
Yeah. Bishop e4, and I think both sides can be relatively happy with the outcome of the opening.
Yeah. Just looking elsewhere, Magnus Carlsen is a pawn up, as usual. And he's trying to get the queens off.
Pawn grabbers.
Pawn grabbers society. And, it's early days in this round, of course. But Ding, with a time advantage, gives up the bishop pair, but black is very, very solid here.
Yeah, the knight on d4 is eternal. You probably don't move it even if, say, white threatens to win a pawn.
You can take a pawn right now, right?
Yeah, the pawn's offered, but if anybody, it's probably black who'd be better. Bishop c5, rook d8, and so on. And g6 limits the activity of this bishop a lot.
Feels like with left play this should be equal, though, or should be a way for white to neutralize the pressure.
He went to c3, and I think this long move was bishop to b4 that Ding made.
Yeah. The queen is
Queen
the move.
e3, naively hoping for black to take.
I think the queen back went out to
The queen back to c2, g6. The question is if we go f4, because f4 defends the pawn, but it's very committal, like opening diagonal. Otherwise, if black gets to take on e5, yeah, that I feel like in a practical game it's very unpleasant for white, because your c pawn doesn't really matter.
Basically a pawn down once the black bishop sits on
Yeah,
c5.
you win the bishop on c5, and then some rook and bishop endgames are bad, some queen and bishop endgames might be unpleasant as well.
Yeah. Should be a draw, of course, with best play, but a minute down as well, Magaranto. Can Ding push? Can Ding unleash? Okay, here we see one full minute
Magaranto's
up.
down to 17 seconds. Yeah. So could take on d1, take on b1. Is rook d1? No, rook d1 will be met with bishop d1, I guess, right?
Yeah, or queen to d.
Queen to d1, I thought trade the other pair of rooks and go queen d4, you know.
Yeah.
h5, h4 inclusion is very typical in these positions, yes. And now he takes on b1.
Yeah.
Here, well,
but
takes
now
with
rook
the
b8.
queen, but this allows rook b8, rook b2.
Ooh, scary. But
Rook b2, rook b2 for now.
Magaranto is under serious pressure. Oh, Ding changes his
b2
mind.
first and then to b4.
Oh, it's so passive
The
for white.
rook on a4. Can put the queen on a1 or just f6.
Yeah, Ding would never play queen a1. It's too far away from his king.
Too far away from the king, yeah, fair. To a3.
Now white's stuck, but I
But
guess
black's stuck as well, right? It's quite a bit.
no pawn breaks. That's the main thing.
You need all of your pieces to be extremely active.
He does put his queen.
Yeah, like I say, put the queen on d4 somehow, and just imagine like white cannot really drive the queen away, and then you can go f5, e5, like push the pawns.
What Magnus would do is he'd somehow, there we go, get his rook out. He'll play a5, a4, a3, put the
Yeah,
pawn on
put the
a3.
pawn on a3, put the rook on b2, it's like, yeah, slowly but surely improving the situation. So the way black wins is kind of activates his pieces to the maximum and then goes f5, e5, e4, rook f1, rook to, wow, was missed. Rook f1 was probably winning.
Probably winning a pawn at least, and that would have been game. Okay.
He gets the, no, he doesn't get the chance to do the same. I thought queen a1, but there was rook c3 available. So now white gets to activate his stuff a lot. Rook e, no rook e6, f2 is hanging. Now can you go rook b2?
Rook b2.
Queen e5. But it's not the end. It's not the end. Hang on a second. Bishop d4. There is rook
Very
b5.
nice.
That's a very, very good move.
Important for Magaranto not to let the black rook get active.
King f6, rook b3. Still the game goes on. So f5 somehow. Get the pawn on f5, e5 and e4. f5 now, yes.
They're coming. Oh, f4 maybe a good move.
f4.
Maybe a good way to stop black's pawns. Got a trade.
Right, okay, well, opens more files, and now the bishop can be defended with the king, and then black rook is set free.
Yeah.
King d4.
It's coming. Oh, white's in retreat mode. That's the pawn that drops.
Do we even want this pawn?
Yeah.
It was blocked and in a way was restricting white's bishop.
Black rook can come in now.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
Goes
yeah,
behind.
but that's a2 pawn we want, not the c4 pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so rook d7, white activates his stuff as well. Rook c3, he will take the bishop on b3 if that's the move white's playing. Bishop e3 for the king to e5.
Going pawn hunting.
Ooh, both
Okay.
kings seem to be unsafe.
Oh.
That was it a good idea? Oh well, apparently it was. King b4, bishop takes, the f pawn has to move.
Just push it.
push the pawn, don't lose on time.
It's a hard pawn to stop.
Yeah.
It's getting to f2 guaranteed, and from there it promotes, surely.
Ah, well, and it's defended on f2, yeah. So you go. King e6, check on it. Yeah, just rook
Bishop's
e1
pinned.
and rook e1, and there you have it.
That's
Ding
it.
Liren winning his game for Chilling Dragon.
Great technique from Ding.